Yes, sir, buddy. How y'all doing? I hope everyone is doing great on this great day. I got my bearings all wrong. I'm all over the place. But we're gonna get this broadcast going. I got the good group, the good guys from Icare on here tonight. I'm all messed up today. Y'all just go ahead to bear with me. I have at times, son, when you have all those different things going on in your life where you have 1,000 things happening at one time, it becomes real interesting. One of my good friends told me, whether you're late or not, it's better late than never. It's better late than never. Y'all bear with me. I'm gonna get the guys. What's up, this your boy Uncle Luke? See that. How you doing, my brother? Did you share the link in your group?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that now. I'm just looking. I thought it was in the group. It's not.
Yeah, that's okay. A new link.
I just did.
Man, I got some technical difficulties here, but it'll work itself out. We're definitely going to work it out.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. The great Larry Williams. Don't shoot me, Larry Williams. I'm all over the place tonight. Here we go.
Luke, if somebody want to join the show, what should they be? What link should they be using?
If they want to come on?
No. Meaning they want to watch the show. I got a lot of people confused now.
They can go to Facebook Live.
Facebook Live?
Yeah. There is Facebook Live.
Under your name?
Yes. That's to
Right.
I think man, I want to hope I'm not, we're not off the air. Me and this Facebook, we've been going at it for 2 days now. We have been going at it for 2 days now.
Bro, you done been in the studio all your life. You should know how to deal with this.
Hey, I already know. I mean, they keep sending. I keep getting. For the life of me, Facebook wants me to confirm who I am every day.
Yeah, they done came out with some new rules, man. Hooked me up the other day as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to keep authenticating who I am. And that's what I did yesterday. I mean, every day is you got to say who you are. Here we go again. Let me, and then they give you a time limit. I got to get, hold on, I'm trying, let me authenticate this one. It's amazing. I set this up, went through it yesterday and went through all these back channels because we couldn't do it. And then here I go today, then they give us the same problems. Unbelievable. Are they able to see it on Facebook Live? Okay, hold up 1 second. Hold up one. Man, I'm normally on point here. Y'all apologize for my bad stuff going on. Because this is a very hot topic we got to talk about here. Because this is woo. This is a good one. They got to hear about this one. Okay, 1 second. 30. Wow. I ain't never seen nothing like this in my life. Sorry about this. I don't even know where we on at. This thing is taking me through so many hoops right now. This is amazing. Okay. All right. Let me put the number in.
Wasn't Alvin on Milk?
Yeah, he was. He was on the other link.
Yes, ma'am.
I was waiting for him to come back.
Hmm?
Waiting for him to come back.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I don't know. I'm on. Oh, okay. Well, I'm on because because I'm on as a guest. So no, but I'm saying it's a different link for me. Right.
Are they able to see it?
All right. Okay.
Are they able to see it?
Yeah, the people that were friends of yours can see it. That's trying to subscribe is having problems.
Oh, great. I'm on all of them. So they have 3 different ones they can go on. All right, here we go. Now we're authenticated. We waiting for Alvin. Is Alvin coming on?
I just sent him the new link.
All right, here we go. Now we can start up. Hey, gentlemen. Oh, here we go. There's Alvin. The great.
There you go.
Did I cut DC off?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I
For
don't know
some
where my
reason, I
picture
can't
is though.
see you.
There we go.
Are you on here?
Yeah, it look like everybody's on there. I don't know if Alvin is. I see Alvin trying to get on.
There it is.
There we go. Here we go, Mr. Alvin. How you doing? All right. right, is everybody there? I don't see Mr. Man, I see DC, but I see another person. Hey, there we go. Everybody is here now. Good. Sounds like a plan. There we go. There we go.
All right.
There we go. Hey, good evening, gentlemen. How y'all doing? We got 136 people already logged in. I got all these channels. Sorry about the inconvenience. I'm all over the place. You know, people like Larry Williams call me up and all day and screw up my schedule. You know, then throw me clean off. The little one, he had baseball, and it's just crazy. They got jazz in the gardens and everything, but we made it. We're here. We got people logged on, and they're ready to go. I mean, we could take it how you guys want to. First of all, let me just you go around the room and introduce yourself to everyone, and then we can go from there.
I'll go first. Milton Parrish Jr., representing Miami Northern Senior High School.
Larry Williams, representing Miami Northwestern.
DC Clark, representing Miami Central. Mute yourself, Alvin. You might be muted.
You're muted.
Look at the mic below, Alvin, and press the mic.
There you go.
Introduce yourself, Alvin.
Alvin, introduce yourself.
He muted again.
Come on, Alvin, you got to get it together.
Unmute yourself, Alvin.
He's not muted because I would have him here.
Right.
All right, we'll wait till Alvin get himself. We'll let Alvin get himself together. All right, hey gentlemen. So as we all know, this is two things to discuss. You know, first off, you know, I'm happy everybody is safe and we're able to be on here. We're doing a lot of good folks with this COVID thing haven't made it, you know, and you know, still pushing along. Two things, you know, I wanted to talk about tonight was one, how you guys like the new superintendent.
Well, the jury is the jury is still out, Luke. We hear he's a company man. We hear that he doesn't have any secrets, that he doesn't have a foundation like the past superintendent did, and he's going to play more by the rules than the previous superintendent. You know, the superintendent did some of us well, you know, yourself included. However, the complaint was transparency. Mm-hmm. He had a foundation. Nobody knew how many millions he had in the foundation. He had all kinds of things going on that everybody wasn't completely sure of. This one, Doltris, seems to be more of a company man, one who's going to play by the rules, listen to what he needs to listen to, and not cause some of the issues that the previous superintendent did. So that's the word we get on this end.
Well, my concern, and it's always been my concern, is first of all, I don't like a plug and play superintendent. I believe that this superintendent is already in the drop program, which means that I think he has 2 years before his retirement and drop unless he gets some type of waiver to extend his term. So for me, what can a superintendent really get done when the first year or 6 months is going to be a period where he's going to get acclimated back to the system he left, yet and still he's on the clock. And I'm concerned that that's just a bun warmer. Someone is just holding the seat down until the real superintendent comes if he's not extended the contract. So I'm not real optimistic about his tenure. I've constantly advocated that if he wants to be transparent, he needs to do a complete audit of the school district. I wouldn't take over a business and not know what the financial status of that business is. So for me, if he wants to start working with credibility, he needs to do an audit of the school district, because I think there's quite a few bodies buried with the numbers, as DC has talked about. So for me, he may be a company man, but his job ain't to please the company. His job is to please the people of Miami-Dade County. And we'll see how he operates. We haven't met with him yet. We haven't even extended an opportunity to meet with him, but hopefully that'll come soon. So I'm a little pessimistic.
What about you, Milt?
Well, there are some challenges ahead. We all know that still exist, pre-existing conditions that weren't met in full prior to Mr. Carvalho leaving. So he's going to have to inherit that. As Larry said, we haven't met with him yet. So I'm not going to post judgment on anything, because I have to be fair and give him an opportunity to do right by us and by the community. So until that happens, I really don't know. I guess right now I'll say I'm neutral. I'm just neutral on the whole thing. It was a very fast process. I don't think they necessarily looked into everybody as far as the search was concerned. I think it should have been a national search, for a school district this large. But it is what it is now. It's water under the bridge, and we have to move forward. So we'll have this conversation again. And next time around, after we've met with him and some time has gone by and we've seen what he's able to do, then we will be able to better give an opinion as far as how we feel and what we think.
Correct. And you, Alvin? I think Alvin might have dropped off. I don't see Alvin no more. Let me ask you some of the things that you feel need to, if there was a top 3 items, I know Larry, top 3 items that you would want the superintendent to address right now when it comes to the urban core schools that you guys represent. What would the top 3 items that you think he should address?
First of all, I think he needs to address the decade and a half of what they want to call the zone and the ETO. It really handicaps our children to be functional once they leave high school. I'm not talking about the exceptional student. I'm talking about the mid-grade student. They're double dosed their entire life. I mean, talking about a decade and a half, Luke. And it's time to modify the curriculum so these young people can learn something other than what they consider the main requirements, because evidently it's not working. It shouldn't take a decade and a half of specialization through the school district in the urban core schools to bring children up to speed. That means the previous superintendent was there for 13, 14 years or whatever the case may be, and about 2 years prior to him with Dr. Crew. So our community has been double dosed under the zone, or what they want to call the ETO, for 15 years. There's a fallacy with that. So is it the children? Is it the instructors? Combination of both, but nothing should take 15 years to get rectified. I mean, I wouldn't want nobody to be a doctor and take 15 years to figure out what my ailment is. So that's one. Disparity. Again, people of color, melanated people, black people, whatever you want to call us, whatever flavor of the week we are, we're not getting our fair share of the distribution of money spent by the district. We're not even close. And that's a second item I would like to see improved and implemented on. And of course, hey, I make no bones about it. I think that the educators today deserve more money for the type of work and the environments they have to deal with today. So I would be an advocate to get administrators, teachers more money, because dealing with the things that they have to deal with today is very tiresome, demanding. And so those would be my three items I would like to see the superintendent address for me.
DC?
Well, to add to what Brother Larry's talking about, we need more schools of choice in urban core schools. Schools of choice are basically those academic areas, the magnet programs, basically, that once you complete them, you're ready for the workforce right away. There, out of approximately 58 to 60 schools of choice, only 2 are in the urban core, only 2. And if you're lucky enough to deal with one in an earlier grade, you have to go all the way across country, across the county, basically, to enroll in another program that support that which you had already learned. So we are having, what they give us, Luke, they give us academies. They give white schools magnets. They give us academies. The difference is magnets are like a pot of gold. Once you're involved in those magnets, you could come out of there with a resume to get a good job. You're recruited to the best colleges. The academies that they give us basically like it's BS, because if the school principal doesn't have the money to support that academy lies dormant in our schools. Case in point, the superintendent miraculously came up with $1 million from a donor that gave $1 million to the school board. We put 2 academies in Central and Northwestern. They were trade and logistic academies. And I don't know about Northwestern, but Central could not go forth after 2 years because we didn't have the money to support it. Academies are not supported necessarily. It comes out of the school's budget. Magnets are supported by the school. They're giving the money straight from the overall budget. That's the difference. All right. So we have to deal with that sort of thing in our urban core schools. Another thing is this issue we're getting ready to talk about. Trade, licensing and branding. This issue about SAA, the Florida High School Athletic Association, and them moving us into metro versus suburban districts. It's all about money. It's all about money. Nobody asks us anything. They'll use our children's likenesses. They'll create contracts that nobody, Larry talked about it already, nobody from the district, especially the affected schools, the Centrals, the Northwestern, the Booker T's, the Norlands, are not getting our fair due, our just due when it comes to the economics of that situation. So we have to address those things. Sports is not our number one priority, but it's very important in this area. And we have some of the best sports teams in the country. And unlike other ports of call like Texas and Ohio, we're not getting paid for the talent that's here in South Florida. So we have to address that.
Milt, you already went, right, Milt?
No, Larry went first.
Okay, yeah.
Well, they said a lot right there. They said a lot, and I reiterate the sentiments that they've expressed. I totally agree with everything that they both said. In addition to that, I think the focus right now on schools needs to be on staffing. And when I say staffing, I mean adequate staff as far as security. Security right now is a big issue at all these schools. Fights, violence has grown, but if you talk to most urban core school members, they are understaffed with security. I'm not exactly sure what the reason is, if they're not processing them downtown through the district or what the situation is. But that's a big problem right there too, because there's too many outsiders coming on these campuses creating issues within the building. And fights have been running rampant. Most of them have been with girls for whatever the reasons are. And I think that definitely needs to be addressed. In addition to that, as they've said, money is always the issue. Yes, teachers are highly underpaid, and they've always been underpaid. But I think because our district is so large, something definitely needs to be done about that, because we're losing too many good teachers that come in the system. They are frustrated with the circumstances that they have to work under, and the pay doesn't match the work. They're overworked. It's just too much. So we're losing so many of them. They are actually leaving the school system and they're going into other areas in order to be employed. And I honestly can't blame them. I started off myself in the school system, and I saw that a long time ago, over 20-something years ago. And I got out the system myself because I just didn't see it being conducive for me financially for what I had to deal with. And the last thing I would like to mention that I think needs to come back, and we've talked about this before too, is bringing back everything that we had when the four of us were in school. Bring back home economics, bring back wood shop, bring back driver's ed. You know, these kids need hands-on. Most of us have gone to college and we are college graduates. That's fine and good. But there is a large group of kids that are not going to college. There's a large group that doesn't want to go to college. They're not college ready. So bring back these skills that they can get involved in. You send them out, you know, as they said, bring a real magnet to the school, not an academy. Bring a magnet program where they can get on a bus. They can take a trip downtown to the Port of Miami, get hands-on with the longshoremen. They can go work with plumbers, electricians, AC mechanics. That's what these kids need. And I guarantee you, if they get that, they will stay out of trouble. They don't have any options anymore. The parks are dilapidated. Nobody goes on the parks anymore. You got homeless people hanging out on the parks, people getting high and drunk. So kids don't play on parks anymore. Everything has just gone down. They don't have a lot of options. And that's the reason why we have so much crime. But if we give these kids an opportunity to do some things that they may like other than schoolwork, we may be able to keep a lot of them grounded and keep them out of trouble. So I think those areas also need to be addressed from the district moving forward, simply with the fact that we are the fourth largest school district in the country. And I just think we could do a better job at doing those things to help our youth.
I mean, those are some, just like you say, those are some very, very important issues, and hopefully the new superintendent and the board to tackle these things. I guess, you know, most of the people in here, they want to, you know, I just want you guys' opinion on the new soup. You know, we all hope that he does well, but I guess most of the people are in here want to talk about what DC talked about was this new redistricting of these schools, where the Florida High School Association took every one of you guys' schools and put them all in one in two regions, and basically said, we're going to make adjustments to only have one team from Miami-Dade County represent, one team from the urban core represent Miami-Dade County in the state championship. So they basically said, let me just go back a little bit. I had a Twitter space, and on my Twitter space, we had all these coaches from the state of Florida, representatives all over the state. And one thing that struck me that was very, very important in that whole conversation was the head coach from New Smyrna Beach. He was originally on the coaches committee, which is one of the committees that they send information to, and it goes to that committee, and before it goes to that committee, it goes to the board. And that gentleman said after Miami-Dade County ran the table, won majority of those state championships a couple of years ago, that the FSHA told them, the guys that was on that committee, we cannot allow this to happen again. We have to stop Miami-Dade County from winning these state championships in this manner. And the guy said it openly on Twitter Live. The head coach and a friend of his, another head coach from another high school that was on the board, and he says yes. And he told the gentleman Josh, who's pretty much representing the FSHA, from an outside capacity. Josh, you know it. You were there when we were given the responsibility of coming up with something new to stop Miami-Dade County urban core schools from winning these state championships. And so this thing has been in the works for a couple of years, and now you have it. So my little thing of bringing everybody up to speed is basically they went on. They went out, did the due diligence, said this. Guys from the state basically told everybody, all the coaches from around the state, this would never pass. This would never pass. Basically cooling everybody off. So you don't need to get excited. This would never pass. And lo and behold, it passed. So it seems like it was all intentionally done and carefully crafted. Now, Ben Hanks from Booker T. Washington was originally on the board. He ended up getting off the board because it was saying it was costing too much money to travel up and down the state of Florida. Darryl Hatterberg is our representative on the coaches committee. But they placed Ralph Arza, the education secretary, placed Ralph Arza, former representative of South Florida, on the board. He was appointed by the Secretary of Education. Now the vote was 9-7. If Ralph Arza, who was supposed to represent our area, who was supposed to be the person talking to the individuals like you guys and our representatives, then I'm pretty sure he had another idea of how we felt about the vote. Obviously, he didn't talk to you guys. He didn't talk to anybody at the district. He didn't talk to the coaches. Came up with this vote on his own. So here we are with a situation where, just like Mr. Clark said, there's getting ready to be a lot of money made. And I just, I want to know from you guys, how do you feel about this, and what do you think we need to do going forward?
Well, go ahead, Larry. You go ahead. It was your issue. You go take first shot at it.
Okay, so let's educate the people on what I know to be the background of this situation. There are 67 counties in the state of Florida. Some kind of way, the Florida High School Athletic Association came up with this magic number of 8 densely populated counties. Duval County, Hillsborough County, Orange County, Palm Beach County, Dade, Broward. I may be missing one, but the fourth largest state in the union only has 8 densely populated counties. Is a joke. What is densely populated? So that's the question. How did they come up and derive at this number? Because a great example of that is Escambia County wasn't included. How do you leave out Escambia County that their high schools, from a numerical perspective, are probably larger than most of the high schools in the urban core, what they want to call now the metro in Miami? So how was that not a densely populated county? So some kind of way in the numbers, they ended up with more suburban schools than metro schools. So they fixed the numbers to meet the need of whatever they want. So I'm appealing not only what we need to do, I'm appealing to other counties that if you're listening to this broadcast, you take action too, because it's an insult for an organization to fix the numbers, fix the scheduling to deprive children of competing at the greatest level. If I'm a suburban school, I'm upset too, because you really don't know if you're a true champion. You really don't know unless you get on the field. So if you want to avoid that, that's fine. But what you're telling your children to do is not be a true champion, because you don't really know, because you want to hide under something called a sub. We play with 11 children just like they do. We follow the same academic rules just like they do. Now, because over the last 10 to 15 years, Miami-Dade County has won 89% of the state championships. So now the state of Florida want to take its marbles and run with them. Well, that's not how we grew up. We grew up to be competitors. When we were in school, DC and I definitely, we were just going into the segregated part of the Florida High School Athletic Association, which took place around the mid-60s. But when we got in school in the 70s, we were struggling to beat a Coral Gables or a Killian. We were struggling against those schools. We had to go through a learning curve. We beat Coral Gables my senior year in high school, 7-0, and it almost, we act like it was a state championship because we had gap. Now, in the 90s, when we figured things out, a lot more of our guys went away to college and came back, and the competition got better from our end, and now you want to punish us because we're successful. Every time the Black community does something well, the system moves the ball. At what point do we say enough is enough? So now you wanna punish our children because they're good. When Northwestern became an A school with the AFCAT, the first urban core school to be an A school based on their standards, they came out with another test. So this is not new. This is the way the system works. And what we have to do is utilize the system, appeal to our state representatives who allowed this to happen. Where were they? They have allowed this community to be blindsided. I hear nothing from the. I do know that the board members are trying to work on a plan to offset this, but our state legislators who voted on this governing body, they missing in action. So we're getting punished for being good. I mean, what sense does that make? So I think that one of the we need to have a town hall meeting to discuss this with parents, the community, and how we can fight back as a group, because they are public servants. They work for us. We don't work for them. And our children shouldn't be deprived because they're successful.
Well, let me say this. White America, white Florida, white Northern Florida should be ashamed of themselves. Yesterday or today, a rule passed that you can no longer teach anything that will make white folks upset because of some historical significance. In other words, you can't teach slavery. You can't teach about Jim Crow. You can't teach about the raping and pillaging of African Americans here on this soil. You can't teach about lynching. You can't teach about buck breaking. You can't teach about how a horse will split a human being in two. You understand? If master says so, if it makes white folks queasy and uncomfortable. The hell with all of the things that you've done to us. If it makes your children queasy and uncomfortable, you can't teach it in public schools. That's the same thing that's happening all across the country. And so what you see here is just like Republicans gerrymandering and redistricting and making themselves stronger and making people of color in their districts weaker. It's the exact same thing. So our schools have never been afraid to play anybody. You, Luke, definitely not Northwestern and Central, and also Norland as well. They haven't been afraid to play anybody, but we've been kicking those folks in the rump so much, they say, no, we can't have them Negroes winning 2, 3, 4 championships in 1 year. Put all those darkies in one conference and let them beat each other up. Northwestern Central, Killian, Norland, Edison, let them beat each other up so that only one representative will come out of that. And it's very shameful, man. It's shameful to be a white man right now in today's America, because that guilt, all of that stuff he bestowed upon us, all of that raping and pillaging is coming back to haunt him. It's coming back to haunt him. And this is a prime example of what they're trying to do to escape their horrific, barbaric past. It has trickled down to sports. It's the same thing. We don't want to play Negroes anymore. Let's go back to segregation. You understand me? And listen, it's shameful that Ralph Arza, who I believe was associated with Jackson High, he was a state rep here in South Florida, will attend to something like this. Why? Because as you said, Luke, he ain't talked to Icare. He haven't talked to Steve or Dorothy Bendros-Mendengal. He didn't talk to the new superintendent. He apparently didn't talk to the new GMAC head. He didn't talk to anybody but maybe Heidelberg or some other representative on that committee and say, okay, I got enough understanding where we could go forth with that. Ralph Arza in this case is nothing more than Governor DeSantis. It's nothing more than Donald Trump. It's shameful, man. I'm telling you straight up, it's shameful. And we got to put a stop to that. Therefore, we're thinking about starting our own group, our own districts, have our own playoffs amongst one another, and put a stop to this charade, bro.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Alvin, you want to add anything? Can you hear me, Alvin? Milk?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with everything Larry and DC have already said, and it is a travesty that they realigned what was not broken. I think a couple of years ago, when the districts were split up, where they did separate our schools, I think that was a good thing, and we were on to something. I actually even believe we at Norland, because of our student population, we could have probably moved up to 7A, respectively, and been able to compete or try to compete in that particular district. But I think it's a shame that what they're doing is very blatant, because all we've done is go 2 steps backwards again and pairing everybody up together. As we all know, only one team will leave from South Florida. And I think the fear is South Florida does dominate in the state championships. We all know most state championships are actually decided in South Florida. When Dade plays Broward, more than likely the winner of that game will go on to state and win. And I believe that's the fear. So I think the realignment is a bad thing. I think they need a whole new committee of people to make those decisions. The vote that took place, the 9 to 7 vote, I think that's ridiculous. And I think that committee needs to be revamped. First of all, if you're voting on something, I believe before you cast your vote, you should be able to come back to all your constituents that you represent to tell them what's being said and what's being done before your vote is actually finalized. Because I guarantee you, if that were the case, that vote would not have gone that way. I personally feel that FHSAA is not good anymore. I don't think it's needed anymore. I think Miami-Dade County Public Schools needs to pull out of the FHSAA and go to their own, as it was already just said by DC. Yeah, it can happen. Other states have done it, so it's not hard to do. It's not impossible to do. You just have to have a plan. You got to bring in the right people who know how to structure it and make it happen. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing to gain from any of these schools going to state. You have to pay your own way. It's not like they're putting you up in a hotel. It's not like they're feeding you. And you do all this for what? For a medal. For a medal that they give you, and that's it. That's all you're playing for, just a medal. They don't even allow alumni associations or stakeholders to even sell merchandise. They have their own merchandise at the game. We're ready to sell, and we can't make anything off of it. So it's like, what's the whole point of being a part of the FHSAA? So I personally feel that needs to be looked at as far as moving away from it and going to something totally different in order to benefit. Because at the end of the day, these schools are a business. It's a business.
There you
our
go.
objective is to generate revenue to be able to do all the things that you want to do. They don't pay for anything anymore. When we were in school, you won a state championship, the school district might have bought you rings or jackets or whatever the case may be. You're on your own now. So what's the benefit of being in that sanction? I just feel the best thing to do is to pull out of it and try something different.
Hey, could I piggyback off that one point? Very good, Milton, because it is about business. This is all about business. I even heard they signed a 10-year deal with ESPN. Now ask us, Luke, how much of that money is the district getting? Ask us, how much is that money are the effective schools getting? Zero. The Northwesterns of the world, the Miami Centrals of the world, the Boogie T's of the world, the Killians of the world, Nolan, Edison. If we win the state championship and our children's likenesses are blasted all across that ESPN TV and stage, we get absolutely zilch. And to me, that's a travesty. Give those slaves nothing while we get all the money. And that has to stop. Our value is too much. We are too valuable in this scenario not to get anything. Our schools are some of the poorest schools in the entire country. So we got to create another business dynamic so that our schools can prosper.
Right. You mentioned Ralph Arza, a guy who I had the opportunity to talk to a couple of times, and before I talked to him, I talked to Craig Damon and Latoya, and there were some coaches there. The Killian, not the Killian coach, but the Columbus, Miami Central coach, representative, and we all were sitting down. And one thing that struck me that the state representative said was, here's the scenario. Here, this is what can happen to reverse all of this. A board member who voted yes can go back, call the emergency meeting, and say, "Look, I want to change my vote." At that point, it'd be 8-8. So After that meeting, we talked about different scenarios. Best case scenario, this guy go change his vote. Second case scenario, we get out of the FSHA period and do our own thing. Third case scenario, okay, if folks want to fix this, it needs to be a different number versus having schools that have 1,600 students playing against schools that have 600 students. I mean, let's face it, that's like unethical. So I went to Mr. Arza and said, Ralph, you're the representative down here. It's obvious that you didn't talk to anybody. Now that you know how individuals feel, why don't you go in and change your vote? Why don't you exercise this part of legislation that you can exercise? No, my vote is what it is. It is what it is. And I go on to say, so if you're telling me the guys who you work with at Miami High and the guys you're supposed to love, Ben Hanks and Tim Ice Harris, and they're telling you, and your brother is telling you to change the vote, what's the issue? You get $400 stipend for being on this board for expenses. The sentiments of Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, and everybody that in the area you represent is basically saying they don't want this. And it goes back, and I start thinking, just like you say, DC, it's about the money. Because in that same conversation, when we talked to Mr. Damon Craig, we talked about the money, because ultimately it ends up being a money grab. 25% of the revenue for a playoff game gross goes to the state. I learned that from Larry Williams. So 25%, but then my promoter head came on. So if 25% gross is going to you, then that means 32% traditionally is marketing and expenses to police officers and everything else to clean up. So you basically only have 50% to split. Then it goes into the conversation of, well, you guys need to do revenue splits, revenue sharing. Well, that's something we can think about doing. So how much money did you make on the state broadcast?
Exactly.
$500,000. And so
Right.
Your coach, DC, AJ, said, that's all? I'm a tech person. $500,000 for the entire state broadcasting? Yes. No, that's how much money y'all got from whatever deal you cut. That's not the right amount of money. So again, where's the money? You're a 501c3. You're designed to, use your money and spend it back. You don't spend any money with the teams. How do you guys plan on paying for this? Because if a team has to go from Dade County to Duval County to play in a playoff game, normally Miami Central, Miami Northwestern, Miami Northern, all of us, they get paid to travel. So who's going to pay now to doing the travel? And the larger the school is, the bigger the budget. We over here at Little Edison, we don't have the 1,600. You got the Miami Northwestern and Miami Central. That's a big ass budget. So who's going to pay for that? These people have no answers. And so when I look at it, I'm like you, DC, show me the money. Where's the money? It's a lot of money being made. And why do we stay into this FSHA, in my opinion, is beyond me. And
when it's not profitable.
And firm. And I learned something again, because I learned a lot from talking to Mr. Williams. When you go back through the hands of time, and I brought this up to these powers that be. You guys just reversed the hands of time, because back in the days when you had the Big Nine, and Larry can explain the Big Nine better than I can, you just went and created the Big Eight, because those counties that are in those counties right now are Hillsborough County, Duval County, Dade County, Broward County, Palm Beach County, Uh, all those are the same black liberal cities in the state of Florida. You had it in Pinellas County, Seminole
in,
County,
in Orange County.
and Orange County. Come on, man. If that ain't a money grab, I don't know what it is. And you know what game is going to be the state champion. The state championship game is the ESPN purchase game, and I understand they also they have a major sponsor, a billion dollar sponsor.
We stopped the telecast before with ESPN Icare. That's how we first got together, and they wanted to give both schools $1,000 scholarship. ESPN now, with the major sponsors that they have, talking about $1,000. All of those sponsors they have, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars each broadcast. We have to change the economic dynamics of high school sports. You talking about you dealing with meals where the team got to get a meal. You understand me? For being in those high-powered, high-priced, overly viewed games. We can't keep getting zero. That's why the poorest schools in Miami-Dade County are the black schools. We get nothing. And a guy like Ozza, what he'll do is say, the hell with those Negroes. Bunch them all in one little group. Have them fight out. They don't have what it takes to deal with us. They don't even have the right argument. They don't even make the proper demands. Well, we're learning on the fly. And we know that we have an entity that the country want to see. Miami Central travels the country. Miami Northwestern travels the country. It's some of the highly watched games on ESPN during that season. We need to get paid so we can improve our schools. We can add more security guards, like Milton say. We can add more police if need be. We need to pay our teachers. We are tired of getting zilch. And this is what these people are doing. It's segregation 101. It's gerrymandering 101. We need to change this dynamic. We're going backwards, and we can't go backwards anymore.
Larry, is this redlining?
That's exactly what it is.
In the insurance world, yes, it would be redlining. I mean, unfortunately, their only defense is, well, there's still some white schools in your metro area, but most of those white schools still use inner city children to play football for them. So here's the dilemma, too. A lot of these coaches are sitting around on their hands. They don't understand. If we get strangled from a financial perspective and only the stakeholders keep trying to come up with remedies, eventually our children will go to those predominantly white schools, which is the end game anyway. I saw this in 1969 when Jake Gaither retired because he told black college football, hey, this game finna put you in the unemployment line. We didn't put them in the unemployment line, but all your best athletes today, until Dion just got on the scene, they wouldn't even think about going to HBCU. So they doing the same thing to our historical black high schools, or predominantly black high schools, that the NC2A did to the historical black colleges. You strangling us financially, you strangling us, and all of a sudden, children see glitz and glamour at a school like Columbus or St. Thomas, and they running over there. And I get it, but you killing us. So we ain't gonna sit on our hands and allow that to happen. And I don't want it to be marginalized. These state representatives that look like us, that allowed this to happen, we got to hold them accountable too. And we don't let them know. We putting you on notice. We know y'all sitting up there in Tallahassee allowing this stuff to be passed and ain't saying nothing. You don't give us no warning, but we gonna come at you. And if we have to put our dollars together to get you out of office, then that's what we gonna do. Because other communities, their people protect their community. We don't have that. You wanna come, wave at us at the Martin Luther King parade like that's some great deal. You need to be up there in Tallahassee fighting for our people rather than coming back with no pork. no bacon, no nothing. You impressed, oh, I got my district $5 million. There ain't no money. There's no money. Other people in other communities, the dominant society, they politicians make millionaires. Our politicians want to be the controlling entity for our community, and that's not the way politics really work. So if you're a politician, you in the game, and you ain't making millionaires in your community, you need to be voted out. We need to stop this because they always tell us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. Well, we have the commodity that they want. And what we have to do is protect it because other sports should be eating. You know, we feed the football team before a game. What about the volleyball girls? What about the soccer girl? We don't have money to do all these things. But if they did what was in the best interest of all children, then we can feed every athletic program. So there's a lot of reasons why we got to push back on this because it affects a lot of different sports. And you notice the only sport they pinpecked was football. They didn't do this for golf. They didn't do this for soccer. They didn't do this for baseball. So yes, it's racially molded. I don't care who get mad. It is. Let's call it what it is. Now, we want our fair share. You're not going to be treating us like Lazarus. We ain't getting crumbs off the table. We going to get our fair share. Through hook and crook, we going to do what we got to do.
Hey, Milt, so John Ruiz, the big booster guy who I know, the billionaire who spent a lot of money into the University of Miami, he just filed suit. He just filed a lawsuit against the Florida High School Association because he wants high school students. I think he filed it on behalf of Westminster High School and some of the other private schools where kids can then now get paid NIL deals, suing the Florida High School Association. So is that now the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer? Because now the kid that you want to go to St. Thomas or American Heritage or Gulliver Prep, now we can attract the kids from Miami Northwest, Miami Central, Miami Northern. We can attract these kids by dangling this little money in the front of them. You can come here also, and we can give you an NIL deal so you can get paid. Is that a part of the big scheme of things here? And we're missing. That's why it's so important for us to get out.
Yeah, it is a part, and it's real. It's real. It's happening. Some kids have already cashed in on it, but what it does is going to corrupt the kid and it's going to corrupt the game. What's going to happen with that is now you're not really there for the right reasons. You're there to get paid, and that's what your focus becomes. So everything around you is now going to be about money. It's not going to be about competing. It's not going to be about sportsmanship. It's not going to be about camaraderie with your teammates. It's simply going to be about what I can get. So you're going to see a lot of movement by different people. There's not going to be much stability anywhere because if you get an opportunity to get off of that deal, you're going to take that deal, especially if you're in a family or you're in a situation where you're already struggling. That's your way out. That's your meal ticket, as you may see it. So I think it's only going to corrupt things and make things a lot more complicated moving forward.
DC, when they went and changed this for football only, and I always, anytime I talk to any one of you guys never mention football. Y'all mention all kids, and if it's a sports issue, you mention all sports. You never home in on football because and so when you look at it, they didn't do it for basketball, they didn't do it for any other sport. How do you see this? And how do you see them just coming up with football only, and what's their rationale?
Because what other sport besides football make the money? Football is the money maker. football is the money, man. Let me take a step back because there's a lot of people listening to us want to know who we are, what where we come from. The name Icare is an acronym for Inner City Alumni for Responsible Education. You see Milt up there. Milt is the alumni president for Miami Northern. I'm the first alumni president Miami Central. I've since gave that to Carlton Wright, who's now leading it, and Mr. Larry Williams is the famed alumni president of Miami Northwestern, noted as one of the best alumni associations in the country. So we came together because we found ourselves fighting these issues, these very same issues. Sorry about that. On an individual level, we were fighting for the inclusion of schools of choice. We were fighting the disparity issues of our day. So we realized and recognized the fact that we were fighting for the same things. So we came together. We were smart enough to put that bravado down, and we came together to join this group approximately 10, 11 years ago, Icare. And we've been fighting these issues for a very long time. When we first got on the scene, Blacks were getting only 1.4% of the pie in both the county and in the school district, despite making up 20% of the population. Today, we are still getting less than 2% of that pie in construction contracts, in procurement contracts, and now, as you see, in this sports-related field, which is blossoming across the country. Those deals are real. Money is coming from everywhere. ESPN contracts are now have exploded, and yet they are offering us little to nothing. Our schools are still struggling. So we have to approach them as if they're Republican legislators trying to bring the South back. The South will rise, because that's who they are. Old racist white men who are trying to create an environment where their underdeveloped and untalented kids can finally win a championship on the state level in public schools. This is what they're doing. They're admitting that they're weak. They're admitting that they can't compete. So we have to gerrymander. We have to create an environment where we come out and win. Why? Because our kids are getting complexes behind it. So we as legislators have admitted that we're weak and we can't compete against those big black bucks in the inner city. So to hell with them. Not only will we create an environment where only one of them could win the state championship, but they get no money behind it. So if we don't fight this right now, if we don't tell Ralph Osler to hell with you, if we don't tell the Florida High School Association that we'll do it on our own, good luck with your little suburbanites state championships. If we don't do it now, then we're done.
I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, what would be the next move, Larry? What should we all do? It seems like everybody here agrees that we should get out of the FSHA because of their racist tactics that they've been performing, and them just pointing out Miami-Dade County. Just that's what gets me. Where you just consistently, even in COVID, you point out Miami-Dade County, and all of the conversations that I've had with the architects of this, everything had racist undertones. You guys play better football competitive football. From the whole thing of calling it suburbs to rural, it don't get no rural than Belgrades and Pahokee. But Belgrades and Pahokee is in metro. Suburbs. Last time I checked, where Columbus located is in the suburbs. Miami Central is located in the suburbs. Last time Miami Northern is definitely located in the suburbs. So, I mean, hell. So even the title was tricked up to just get the average citizen not thinking that, oh, we don't, just like DC say, we don't want to play against them big black bucks, but then you group us all together.
Right.
I mean, it is amazing what if you give anybody a project and pay them a bunch of money for 2 years to construct, you got to put the factor in, you got to be able to deceive the public with some language or some cute titles. I mean, what's the next move, Larry?
Well, a couple of things need to happen. We need to have, well, we don't need, but we would prefer solidarity from the other 7 densely populated counties, maybe to reach out to our board to find out what we're getting ready to do. I would not, for the safe understanding that we at war, I would not disclose everything we gonna do, because we know that this will be watched at some point in time, and it would be idiotic for me to disclose what we gonna do. However, I'm gonna let you know we ain't gonna take this land down. So, we come in peace, but war ain't off the table. And they need to understand that. And we serious about that. We come in peace. We don't want to create this thing about black and white, but it is what it is. We don't make those decisions. But I'd be damned if we're going to sit here and allow the Florida High School Athletic Association to continue to pimp us. And that's all it is a pimp game. They have nothing to do with the regular season. As soon as the playoffs start, that's when the grab bag starts. So now you got all these schools down here cannibalizing each other. We may have to play Central 3 times in one season. Y'all don't want to play them once. We got to play them 3 times possible. That ain't in the best interest of our children. But, I mean, we don't run from competition. Whoever wins, we shake that hand, and they the man for that year. We regroup. But we've never ran from competition. And like I said, look, when we were in school, they were dominating us. Fort Pierce and was killing us in Dade County. You couldn't get past Fort Pierce. Must talk about Duval County. So as soon as we learn the game and execute, now you want to take your marbles and run. So there again, you teaching your children bad habits. You compete, and you compete with what you have. So when you tell your children, oh, we don't want you to play with them because they just so much better, that's not in the best interest for the psychology of that child. So I will say we've spoken to board members. They know our position. We will, like I say, most likely need to have a town hall meeting to get the community and the rest of the alumni together, so all us on the same talking points. And if we find out that you're a traitor, you're saying one thing in the public and you're doing something behind our back, we're going to come at you. I'm putting you on notice. We know who you are. So if you play this game, you're going to lose by playing both sides toward the middle. Either you with us or you against us. And I ain't mad if you against us. Just be against us. We ain't playing this game licking. We ain't dancing. We don't hear no music. We ain't playing that game. We're going to follow the law, but we're going to do it what's in the best interest of our children, our community, because that's what they're trying to do on a larger scale. So I won't divulge everything. I'm just telling you, we organize it and we getting ready. We've been working on this for about 2 weeks now.
Milton, I always look at bad things and say, hey, look, it's important to get something good out of it. I look at what Dion, like Larry said, is doing in college football, how bringing he's bringing the attention to college football, to black college football, that's like hadn't happened since the great Jay Gaither back in the days. I mean, this man is transformed how we look at college football, and we want to look at historical black college football. So this might be an olive branch thrown to us that we need to step out of the box. Here's a prominent black man that stepped out of the box and say, I'm not going to conform to what you want me to be, but I'm going to go to my people and lift my people up. So if you're going to take and put us all in these counties, if you're going to take the black schools and put them all in one metro and take all the white schools and put them in the suburb, in the rural area schools and put them in the rural area, that's telling us we need to do what we got to do, and we need to do it right now. Because we can go and cut those ESPN deals, because obviously that's going to fall off the table, because I don't know nobody that want to see what they got to sell. You can go cut your apparel deals. You can go cut your sponsorship deals. Those deals are out there available. You can cut your own streaming network deal if you're not televising all the other games. The money of these they laid it out for us. Eight districts, 8 cities. You go over here, and I guarantee you some of these other ones will want to come over into this area here, into what you guys and what we're talking about. I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect timing. It's all the reasons in the world. And just tell me, I mean, how you think this would actually be able to play out? How would it work?
Well, speaking about Dion, who just happens to be a fellow FSU friend of mine, good guy. Dion in college, whether people know it or not, was always pro-black. Although he was at FSU and played for FSU, he often spoke of mobilizing his community. And that's who he was back then. And that's who he still is today. So I'm not necessarily surprised by what he's doing. And he's been a great role model for other coaches to follow his blueprint. Now, the thing is, coming back to your question, yes, we need to mobilize. Yes, we need to act now. But we have to bring it all together. We have to bring the powers that be that can make this happen to the table today. Because we can't go another year hoping that this changes. It's not going to change. It's only going to get worse. The competition is going to get better amongst us. But it's not going to be shown in the light that it needs to be shown in. Sadly, we here in the state of Florida have some of the worst facilities in the country.
Right.
You wouldn't know that unless you visited other facilities around the country. If you went out to the state of Texas, and I'm going to use them for example because by far they are probably the best state in the country as far as their facilities. Those people actually have multi-million-dollar stadiums,
right,
on the high school level.
Right.
They have pro-sized fields. They have the best equipment. And therefore, most of the guys who play in the NFL, that's where they send their kids to play because of the facilities. Those coaches are paid $100,000 salaries. So these are good coaches. These are guys who dedicate their life to the game because they are properly being compensated, as opposed to our coaches who get a mere supplement just to coach. So you get what you pay for. And that's how this all works. But again, This whole plan needs to come together. We have to mobilize first, and we have to unify and do this all together as one. Because I think it affects so many schools, especially here in Miami-Dade County and in South Broward as well. It affects so many schools that we really don't have a choice but to come together. And I think that's when we do our best work, when we're under adverse conditions. And right now, I would consider the situation at hand an adverse condition, unless the powers that be can go back and change that vote, as it was mentioned before. The vote needs to change. The vote does need to change because it's just not right. So, as Larry said, a lot of things won't be divulged right now. You can't show your hand, but we do need to make change.
DC, I mean, you know about the economics of all of this. I mean, that you know the economics and what can be generated. I mean, you guys, everybody on here have played football games all around the country, and there have been schools all around the country and promoters all around the country that have paid a large sum of money to your schools just to have the Northwesterns and the Centrals and the Norlands come to their facilities and come to their state and come to their town to play. This type of state championship series that is controlled by the districts and the counties and the powers that be, help negotiated by Icare and other individuals in their different areas. I mean, what type of economics and what type of revenue sharing would you want to see? Because we don't want to get into a situation where money is not going back to these schools, because that has a tendency of happening. How do you see something like this being put together where schools can generate revenue from this and there's revenue splits as far as these schools generating the revenue to go back to the schools?
That's a great question, Luke. People don't truly understand what this passion is coming from all of us. But if you take a look at the pictures of Miami Central weight room versus IGM or IMG, man, we got weights that are rusted. The padding on the benches are eroding. Yet we fly all across the country to play the Boscos of the world, the IMGs of the world, in the poorest conditions that a school should have to face. And listen, they're not trying to give us 25% of the gate in the state playoffs. They're saying to us, you get nothing. You can't even, we almost got arrested, man, one time trying to sell a t-shirt that says Central Championship. The police took our gear. They took our gear and told me and Holdendall never to come back to Orlando again because we were trying to generate funds to buy the rings for our state championship team. You understand me? Back in the day, we had to depend on drug dealers and anybody in the street who would give. And that's no lie. I'm being honest with you. Yet the state is giving us that same old stuff routine. And we just can't afford to take it. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Right now, we, have to buy rings, gear. We have to come up with most of the traveling money when we go out of state. And when we play a team like Northwestern, which is always our biggest draw, we have to get 2 or 3 times the police officers that the district make us get. That's where some of our revenue go. And it's not fair. So I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to give you the prime example why I think this is a farce. Dade County Public Schools have not shown us, with the exception of Steve Gallen and maybe Miss Mendengal, but the entire board do not value what they have in their midst. They don't understand that you got some of the best sports teams in the country. Like Milton say, Allen High in Dallas just built a $60 million stadium. They have so many people in their band, it takes 27 buses to bus their band to every game. We struggle to get 3-4 buses. You understand me? And I'm going to ask you this question. This is how you know it's a farce. American Heritage in Plantation is a part of the Metro Group. How are they a part of the Metro Group when they live in some of the most expensive areas in the entire state? It's not just wanting the black folks to be there. They don't want anybody to be them from South Florida. And we got to change this dynamic. It's a farce. We got to call it out. And we have to be bold enough and have the kahunas enough to change the dynamic. It's time for us to do our own thing, create our own deal, and let them televise their suburban state championship and see how far that get them.
I'm with you. Let them have it. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to mobilize all the coaches in our district and talk to these guys. I know Mr. Eddie Ozzie, not Eddie, but Ralph Ozzie, been running around Palm Beach County and Broward County to try and sell his save face. So we know we have individuals that are fighting against us, and just like Larry said, and everybody know, I mean, we've had talks with Dr. Gallen and most of the coaches are on board. I mean, surprisingly, the guys at Palmetto and the guys at Columbus High School, same thing. I mean, they feel like it's crazy. I mean, I'll just tell you a little story about the Columbus High School coach, and he said it in the meeting with the state representative. This guy filled out his application, turned it in to the state to be on the coaches committee. They mysteriously lost his documentation. He then sent his paperwork in again, and they still mysteriously lost it. He called up 3 times. Nobody called him back. Only until the vote was over, they called him after the vote was over and said, "Oh, your name is not on the ballot. We could redo the vote." And then he said no. But these are the things that's been going on with this FSHA. They strategically put people on the board. 75% of their board is from rural areas.
Right.
You can't get anything. You can't get nothing voted in. And majority of the conversation is pointed at Miami-Dade County. They don't even mention Palm Beach County or Broward County. Miami-Dade County.
Right.
Blatant. So I agree. We're gonna try to mobilize as many football coaches as we possibly can, and just like you say, we all have to come together. We have to come together. We have to. Every stakeholder in every part of this community has to come together, because this is a direct shot at our black kids, and to treat them in this manner here, I think it don't make no sense. That's unacceptable.
Right.
Any last words, gentlemen, about where we go from here?
to the people that live here in Dade County, like I said, we will be organizing a town hall meeting. I think that needs to happen. I think that the parents need to understand what's going on. When you sign your child up to take a physical examination, you're signing a waiver that gives the Florida High School Athletic Association consent to put your child likeness on school boards and all this, but they don't want to help your child be successful in the athletic world because they don't give any money back. For those who traveled to Daytona when we played Orlando Jones 2 years ago, that stadium was solar capacity. They had another 2,000 or 3,000 people surrounding the football field. Man, you standing room only. We got no money from concession, no money from parking, no money from ticket sales, and no TV revenue. They give you a fixed dollar amount based on what they feel you need to travel to get to that venue. That Miami Northwestern probably lost in excess of $15,000 to go play a state championship game when they should have made money. We lost money to go play a state championship game for our young men to get a medallion around their neck that's probably worth less than $5. But then they send them back to the city, and it's the stakeholders got to come up with a way to generate this $50,000 or $60,000 that we need to show appreciation for these young men's accomplishment. We can't continue to get pimped like that. And anybody who don't see it, who sees it another way, that's good. We don't have a problem with that. We know everybody ain't gonna get the message at the same time. We just been around too long to know the pimp game when we see it. And they straight pimping us. The closest thing to them is the internal revenue. They take money off the top for you even get yours. They got theirs and gone on and smoking a cigar and cognac.
You're right. Milt?
Yeah, I just want to say it's just all about awareness and education. You have to be aware of what's going on in your community. You have to be aware of what's going on around you. And the only way you know that is to get involved. So that's basically what we're asking everybody to do. Who cares? Who it matters to get involved, be aware, come out, listen, and get educated on what's really happening. You know, this isn't just limited to this issue that we're talking about as far as sports. I mean, we as Icare, we address a lot of issues. We address community-based issues as well. We address issues as it relates to Miami-Dade County Public Schools and what's going on. We address health issues. So the only way to know how to respond to things is to come out, gather the information, and then utilize it in a proper way. But as far as what we're here specifically talking about tonight, when that town hall meeting takes place, if you are available, you should come out, you should attend, because you'll probably get some information that you probably weren't aware of that will probably piss you off and make you want to get involved, because it does affect you. It affects the community, and it obviously affects your child if your child is a student athlete within Miami-Dade County Public School system. So again, come out, be aware, get the education. Let's move forward.
DC, any final words before you get back on the campaign trail? You frozen? Is DC frozen?
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
No, I'm here. Okay, listen, thank you for having such an important forum. We welcome the opportunity to enlighten the people on this subject matter. But to me, Luke, this is a double-edged sword. First, we know that the Florida High School Athletic Association is just sticking it to us with no Vaseline. We know that. No question. But they've been sticking it to us for years. We went from districts to this crap last year, FPI, what was that? RPI, where Central was ranked 123rd in the state, just trying to get favorable matchups for their little suburban schools. And now they come up with this plan, always changing the game in the middle of the game. But the other end that saw it is that Dade County Public Schools got to take more responsibilities and more care of their programs. If played right, they enrich themselves to the tune of millions of dollars, particularly under the heading of licensing and branding. They got to make sure that that goes through, because it protects us from predators like the Florida High School Athletic Association, who will televise your kid and give you nothing when they're making millions. So thank you for having us, bruh. We'll let you know when that town hall meeting is, but we have to bring the county board members up to speed. We have to bring this new superintendent up to speed, and we got to do everything in our power to enrich the lives of all of our kids, not just football, but all of our kids in every sport and all academic genres. Thank you for having us, man.
You're welcome, Larry.
I just want to add to what DC, just a footnote. Overstand is that the actual platform for licensing and branding came from the Five Angry Black Men. We brought a program to Dade County Public Schools that will create residual income for them as long as they're a school district. We asked for nothing. Okay, this wasn't brought in from the Hispanic community. It wasn't brought in from the European community. It was us. And it's gotten mediocre because of the authors of someone trying to show love for all the children, which we have. Our only principles is our children gonna eat just like everybody else. That's the only principle. But we brought a funding mechanism that this school district, as DC has just said, could bring millions and millions of dollars. But what did the district do? They took the first program and they co-sponsored it with somebody out in Texas who had no clue what the hell was going on. And after 3 years of having a license and branding contract, we got Miami Northwestern less than $800. I know that was a fraud because we sell paraphernalia at the stadium, and a lot of times it's that, if not more. So you mean tell me in 3 years, all the paraphernalia that was in Walmart and all these other places that was selling paraphernalia, our schools only got $800 over a 3-year period of time? Somebody got fat. That's why they need to do an audit. When you're stealing from children, I mean, to me, that's the lowest level of theft. And if you're doing that, you should be prosecuted. And I have no empathy for anybody that's stealing from children, especially children that come to school hungry. Now, I get it. Their economic situation ain't the school board's fault. But listen, I know y'all getting federal dollars from these Title I programs. I know. So why can't we do better by our children? As soon as there was a period, Luke, where I think there was roughly, correct me if I'm wrong, DC, about 69 children in our community were killed. Gun violence. We ain't hear from the governor. When unfortunately what happened at Storm and Doug, all those children got buried at the state taxpayers' money. Our children get slaughtered in the street. Nothing happens. Nothing at all. So it shows you they don't value us as people, and we have to treat them accordingly. Again, we come in peace, but war ain't off the table.
Hey, I want to thank you guys. And just like you say, once when you guys get the information as far as the town hall meeting, please pass that information on and just let us know. I'll promote it on all of my different social media platforms and try to get it out to all these coaches. We'll always keep you guys up to speed on what we're doing with coaches and the conversations that we're having. I guess our target, we'll round it out again and have more conversation, because we know some people will be looking at this to try to combat what we're trying to do. But at the most, I'm just happy that everybody, you guys are able to come on here, and this is one issue that we definitely got to deal with. We got to deal with it for more reasons than one. When it comes to these kids of this community, for more reason than one, because it's an attack on us, Miami-Dade County, along with Broward, Palm Beach, but more so Miami-Dade County. We just can't stand here and allow that to happen. And I'm with you, Larry, when it comes to these state legislators who want to be celebrities, all on Facebook with their pictures and all that every 5 minutes, sitting at their desk. It's time for them to get off their ass and do something when it comes to these kids, and not just be worried about their own little pet peeves issue and worry about the issues of this community. So thank you, guys. Have a great day in DC. We're going to do it on Sunday, baby.
Yeah, we'll do it on Sunday, bro.
Yes, sir. Hey, thank you.
Y'all all right, thank you, Luke.
All right, good night.
Good night.